On March 1st, Venus went retrograde at 10 degrees Aries, and on March 16th, Mercury will go retrograde at 9 degrees Aries. This is a very powerful time, my friends, for the Pisces and Aries part of your life. And we have most definitely discussed some of these transits before, but it is go time. We are officially in March astrology. And if you checked out my March forecast, I did, in fact, touch a little bit on these retrogrades, but today I want to kind of just explore a little bit more deeply on the profound influence of these transits, how they can possibly be transforming those parts of your lives, and what energies are at play a little bit more in a detailed sense, because I want to talk about Saturn as well. I want to talk about the third decan of Pisces, where these retrograde planets will be transiting when they get back into Pisces, and this is exactly where Saturn is before it ingresses into Aries in a couple of months. This is also where Neptune is before its big ingress at the end of this month. So this third decan of Pisces is very much something I want to look at involving these retrogrades. And also we must take into consideration the first decan of Aries, where these retrogrades began, where they're going to be going again when they go direct, and how really March, April, and May are all going to be about such psycho-spiritual transformation. Wrapping up karmic stories in the Pisces part of your life, dealing with whatever Saturn has been teaching you throughout the last couple of years involving the Pisces part of your life. But when it comes to these retrogrades, there's going to be something that very much has something to do with the review cycle, the review and the unfoldment of whatever challenges and issues and delays that come into your life. Saturn will be there, wrapping up something, trying to teach you something, trying to make something stronger. Okay? Now, what's interesting about Venus retrograde is it stays retrograde pretty long. Okay? Not as long as Mars retrograde, but it stays retrograde pretty long. And it'll end on April 12th. And the post-shadow phase, goes all the way back through those degrees, back to the degree it went retrograde at, 10 degrees Aries, and that will happen on May 15th. So just imagine how much time from now until May 15th is. I mean, we're going to snap our fingers, obviously, and that's going to be here, but that's pretty much in the territory of when Saturn is about to get into Aries too. So we're dealing with a Venus retrograde cycle in which we are going to be stretching this all the way out until May. Because that integration post-shadow phase is extremely important. And I've talked about this before, how important not only the setup phase is before a retrograde occurs, but the integration phase, because retrogrades are not over when it goes direct. We're dealing with just the lessons we've learned from the retrograde cycle, and now we have to move forward, and we need to start putting into action and start living some of the lessons, some of the delays, some of the challenges that might have come to be from all of that. And Venus retrogrades aren't all challenge. Sometimes it's just a review of pleasure, desire, love, things we're connected to. Sometimes things come back from our past to remind us of like, oh, hey, do you remember me? Oh, hey, do you remember when you loved to do this? And then we kind of have a moment where we have to reconcile some stuff. We have to have some maybe difficult conversations. We have to get a little bit more real with ourselves with certain things. And it could be emotional in nature because Venus is emotional. Okay. And Mercury, having this Mercury retrograde be so close together with the Venus retrograde, we're dealing with not only a mental aspect of everything we are going to be dealing with involving whatever events and situations are triggered for you in the Aries and Pisces part of your life. This is going to be a blend of the mental and the emotional. We're very much going to have to think our way through some of this stuff just as much as we're going to have to feel our way through some of this stuff. Okay, there's going to be decisions that need to get made. And that's really the difference, I think, between this Venus retrograde when it's just chilling by itself versus having a serious Mercury retrograde happen side by side. Okay, because we're going to have to literally figure some things out. There's going to be difficult decisions that have to be made. There's going to have to just be decisions that are made, period, full stop. And this is just part of this Venus retrograde story. This is part of this Mercury retrograde story. And considering that Saturn is making its way out of Pisces into Aries in May, Neptune, obviously at the end of this month, right after the solar eclipse in Aries, will find itself in Aries for the first time in over 100 and something years. These retrogrades are very much trying to tell us something. Now, the question is are you listening? Are you paying attention to the Aries part of your life, especially those first 10 degrees? Do you have any planets there? Is your north node there? Is your south node there? What's going on in the later degrees of Pisces for you? Okay, look at that part of your life. You're familiar with planets you have in your birth chart there. What are those planets? What have they taught you? What's going on? What are you learning in the Pisces part of your birth chart? What house topic theme of life is it? Okay, Saturn has been there for the last 3 years. What has it been trying to teach you? Saturn wants us to restructure things. Saturn can restrict some things in our life only for us to be forced to look at these things, for us to hopefully learn powerful insights on how to make something more stable and stronger there. Okay? So everybody's unique. This is why seeing astrologers is so important, because we can guide you through this stuff in a very specific way. But that is really what these retrogrades for me are very much going to be about. It is going to be about reckoning with Saturn. It is going to be about what are some of the last things you need to karmically understand about what Saturn has been doing in your life for the last 3.5 years. Now, Neptune has been there for 12 years, of course, and that's kind of a big breakdown to kind of ask you, hey, how has the last 12 years been for you in Pisces? I mean, Jesus God, we can all try to reflect on 12 years and get ourselves all nuts. But for me, focusing on Saturn is more important when it comes to what these retrogrades could be trying to teach us and show us. And then, of course, dealing with the early degrees of Aries and what Aries is for you. Because whatever the house topic theme of life Aries is for you, these are going to be some of the first powerful activations in that part of your life involving when Neptune gets there and when Saturn gets there. Okay. And then once like halfway through the beginning of 2026 arrives, that's when Neptune and Saturn are officially locked into Aries and very much going to show us what the Aryan part of our life is going to be all about, involving something now that is going to need more attention and structure and to grow a stronger foundation in Aries, of course, because Saturn's going to want to go into Aries for you and go, okay, hey, like we need you to kind of figure something out here. We need you to get serious about something here. Okay, we need you to get serious about something here. But we also need you to believe in yourself here. We also need you to get maybe a little bit more spiritual here and to believe in something in this part of your life with Neptune there. Okay? So there's a lot to talk about today, and I'm going to do my best to condense everything I really want to say about these retrogrades in this video alone, so I don't necessarily maybe have to make another video on any of this stuff, but you know me, I'm a yapper, and I like to make videos on a bunch of stuff here, so we'll see if I want to yap more on this retrograde season in a future video, but yeah, my friends, if you're enjoying this video thus far and you are new to the channel, I would love if you can consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, hitting the notification bell, leaving a comment. All of that stuff really helps the channel's growth, guys. And I'm just so grateful and so honored that so many of you are supporting my work here. It's been a wild couple of months, meeting so many new people. So the channel has grown so much, and I'm so thankful and grateful from the bottom of my heart for your support. So if you are new, maybe consider joining and subscribing. And yeah, we like to muse here. We like to get cozy. My name is Joe Theodore, and we try to be as laid back and educational as possible with my insights, of course, on astrology and just various other esoteric things. I'm a consulting astrologer. I'm a teacher. And if there's anything else you would like to learn about myself, or if you'd like to book a reading or follow any links to anything else that I do on the interwebs, Patreon links are down below. But yeah, guys, a lot of March, April, and May is going to be about transforming the Pisces and Aries parts of our lives, awakening from the dream and seeing clearly. dancing between the illusion, enchantment, dreams, and visions, and into action, passion, and planning as we prepare the Aries parts of our lives to take charge for the next 12 to 3 years with Neptune and Saturn. The next 12 to 3 years, maybe even a little bit more than 3 years with Saturn and Aries, this is what we're preparing ourselves for. So these retrogrades are just starting to talk to the beginning parts of Aries for you, and wrapping up some karma with Saturn, and yes, a little bit of Neptune as well, involving the late degrees of Pisces. And of course, the North Node is in Pisces in the late degrees right now, so there is a massive destiny point for all of us to be very much focused on, for all of us to very much try to go, hey, what is all of this North Node destiny with Neptune still there, with Saturn still here, all about? And we're in eclipse territory. So by this coming fall, Neptune and Saturn will be flipping back into Pisces for a little bit, and we're going to start having eclipses there. So this Pisces story isn't over, but we're beginning a massive movement out of Pisces into Aries. And these retrogrades, this Venus retrograde and this Mercury retrograde, are front and center on trying their best to stop us in our tracks for a minute, to have us have a moment of delay, some communication breakdown with Mercury, some feeling of contemplative, possible depression with Venus. And I'm not saying depression in the way that you might be feeling that. I'm saying just a moment of dimming of light, or a moment of saying, wow, am I really in love with this person? Am I really in love with this path that I'm embarking down? Am I really doing something right now in my life that is bringing me joy and pleasure? And or is what I'm working on and focusing on really what I want to work on and focus on? And some of the answers to these questions could be, yes, I am in love. I am passionate about what I'm working on. But it's these retrograde moments, and with Saturn in, of course, Pisces for you, whatever Saturn has been building for you all these years, it could be just a moment for Saturn to say, hey, yeah, I am happy with what I have. I am happy with what I'm accumulating. I am happy. Or I am trying to figure out a couple of things right now to figure out my next steps in the Piscean parts of my life. And I think I've used the example for me. The 5th house of Pisces is a very creative place. So most of my 3-year transit has, how do I become a better content creator? How do I merge my astrology profession with making videos or getting better at technology so I could do online stuff, And I'm starting to notice that this last month of March, for example, I'm very much trying other things potentially in the online world. I'm thinking about other ways to come to the world or to expand my resources. And is what I'm doing now bringing me pleasure? Is how I'm teaching bringing myself pleasure in how I would like to approach certain things? Like I have a Patreon I just started, trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I really come to Patreon in the most effective way? How do I know what people like you who haven't signed up yet actually like? What would you actually like to see on Patreon? This is an act of retrograde coming to you right now, asking, because I'm kind of in a review, all right, I want to, making content is very pleasurable for me. It's fun. My 5th house, the house of fun. Saturn, been trying to build somewhat of an extension of my career into the content world. So I'm trying to gauge, okay, how do I structure something new even to grow further, And maybe you guys will give me some answers to what you would like to see on a Patreon, aside from me just bringing extra content and teaching, adding bonus videos where I could talk a little bit more deeply about things. Okay, my goal is to be a teacher, as well as always to be a consulting astrologer to help people. So for me, Saturn, how this has been such a powerful story of building and structuring how I could be more creative to the world, and how can I make content pleasurable for me in the process. And of course, coming to some new ways of making decisions and problem solving around content strategy, So this is a real intimate share on how the fifth house has always been manifesting for me in the last 3 years. And trust me, there's a lot of other fifth house themes that I'm going through right now in which I am reconciling and meditating upon, and things that involve pleasure and desire. There's a lot of other stuff that I'm going through with all of this. And there's a lot of other things that Saturn taught me. And yes, I'm already intuiting a lot of what the sixth house will bring me this coming year and into the years to follow. Okay. So Saturn is really at the center of this entire retrograde cycle. And I think we all need to reflect on where Saturn is in your life. Please share, where is Pisces for you? What has Saturn been trying to restructure there? What has Saturn been trying to teach you? What has Saturn been restricting for you? What has been limiting for you in Pisces? Or what have you been able to take from the ethers? What imaginative creative forces have you been able to put into grounded reality? Because that's also something that Saturn very much wants us to do, whatever zodiac sign it's in. But in Pisces, we are definitely dealing with dreaminess and confusion and delusion, but also how can we take some of this weird haziness of things in our lives, in that part of our life, and how can we make things more concrete and clear and structured, organized? How could we become more masters of our craft in that particular part of our life? How could we become a more masterful partner if you have Pisces in the seventh house? What have you been structuring and building and teaching yourself? Or what lessons have been coming to you in that seventh house, of partnerships, for example? Now, these retrogrades are happening in the first decan of Aries, which is ruled by Mars, which is the Tower card in the tarot. And as many of you who don't know, I like to focus on the decans in my work with specific transits, ones that are more significant, and I like to bring in the tarot symbolism associated with those decans. So the first decan of Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is ruled by the tarot card. Okay, the last decan of Pisces, where these retrogrades and where Saturn is right now, is also ruled by Mars, because the last decan of Pisces and the first decan of Aries, we're talking about the very last piece of the puzzle of the zodiacal story, the third decan of Pisces, and the first decan, the first aspect of the zodiacal story, which is the zodiac sign Aries. So the first decan of Aries and the last decan of Pisces are bookend. They're almost one and the same. We have a simultaneous death and rebirth that happens with the third decan of Pisces and the first decan of Aries. One is about celebrating and concluding something we went through, or at least this illusion of celebrating, this illusion of happiness, of the end of the rainbow. That's why you see the happy couple with the children under the cups of the rainbow, because yes, we are concluding a cycle. Yes, there is something very beautiful and happy and celebratory here. But is it really worth celebrating is the answer. Or do we really have to embrace change and embrace the transformation? And maybe that's what we need to celebrate, celebrating the ending. Okay? As we're born into the first decan of Aries, which is all about the Two of Wands. So the minor arcana, so again, the decans are ruled by major arcana cards. The zodiac signs themselves are ruled by major arcana cards, but those decans are also ruled by minors. So Pisces is ruled by the moon, of course. Mars, the last decan of Pisces is Mars, which is ruled by the Tower. And the minor is the Ten of Cups. Now, the first decan of Aries, okay, Aries ruled by the Emperor, first decan ruled by Mars as well. The Tower, once again. And then the Two of Wands, which is all about embarking forth with some plans. Having plans so we can move forward. Taking action on our plans. Preparing for a new life. Preparing for a new journey forward. Okay, so these retrogrades are all about reconciling karma with Neptune and Saturn while it's still in Pisces, and making new plans based upon the lessons we learn from these retrogrades and taking those new plans and that energy of taking new plans and moving that not only into Aries, but also making that a part of your Piscean story. I hope that makes sense, my friends. I really do. Because the Tower here, which is why these bookends are ruled by both Mars, last decan of Pisces, and first decan of Aries. The reason why the Tower is involved here is because we are most definitely dealing with massive transformative deaths and rebirths in this moment. Okay? So having these retrogrades literally go through a death and rebirth cycle between the early degrees of Aries, the last degrees of Pisces, where we're finishing up karma, where we are having a very powerful transformation occur, where yes, for some of us, this could be a celebratory moment, concluding the Saturn cycle, everything that we've learned. Even the new moon in Pisces, I did a video on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about how this is that was a powerful birthing moment to set up a lot of the retrograde activity we're going to be dealing with this month, and how that new moon very powerfully influenced by the Eight of Cups. Okay, which is about letting go. So the new moon was all about letting go of something, allowing these retrogrades to come into focus. Now we're reconciling between the Aries and the Piscean, and we're having the last decan of Pisces and the first decan of Aries very much paint the picture of what these retrogrades are ultimately going to manifest for us as, depending on the details of your situation, of course. The last decan of Pisces, the Tower, lots of Tower moments with these retrogrades, lots of concluding Tower moments with Saturn and Pisces and Neptune as it leaves Pisces into Aries. This is why the Neptunian has been so aggressive and wild in the last couple of years. Have you noticed? It's been transiting in this last decan of Pisces, ruled by Mars. Saturn finally got back into this decan, literally as of a couple of days ago. And it's only going to get deeper into the 20 degrees, blah, 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 until it gets to Aries, which will still be ruled by Mars in the Tower. Except we are concluding the Pisces story, this third decan story, with also the 10 of Cups. So there is a moment, there are going to be moments of, wow, like what is on the other side here? Like what is on the other side of the hill? You know, this 10 of Cups energy with the Tower is, yeah, there's a transformation. There is a collapse. There is a rebirth simultaneously bound to happen. But there's also this moment of like joy and happiness, like we're almost there. But it's like taking a peek through the curtain, you know? And what's cool is from the book 36 Secrets by Susan Chang, highly recommend that book. She states, sometimes I think the third decan of Pisces as a curtain of mist, a waterfall in which we glimpse hazily the new year to come. And in the liminal space between the watery Pisces and fiery Aries, we expect things to happen. So this last decan of Pisces, while we're dealing with the retrogrades, of course, we're going to be feeling already, we're going to be taking a look through the mist. And we're already sensing that there is going to be powerful action and change and aggression potentially on the world stage, but a lot of movement into dreamland, into reality land, if that makes any sense. Going from the dream world into the real world. We're going to be awakening from the dream and actually being able to manifest like we've never manifested before. And we are entering the age of fire and air, of course, where Uranus will be trining Pluto in Aquarius, and Neptune will be providing sextiles. Okay, so we're dealing with a lot going on with fast-moving manifestation, fast-moving world events, and these retrogrades, this Venus retrograde, which will be, again, this reflection on desire and pleasure, needing to make desirous and pleasurable things in our lives stronger, or we might need to let go of things, of course. And then with the Mercury retrograde, which is going to be dancing the whole way with Venus, and when they get back into Pisces, of course, like we've been saying this whole video, with Saturn, this strengthening of them both, this decision-making, mental turmoil, confusion, that will be faced with some delusion, but also possibly beautiful enlightenment and creativity, will wrap up things that we need to wrap up once and for all. So this is really the final test, guys. This is really the final test of our Pisces stories with Saturn there. This is really our final test with how we're going to be shifting into Aries. So keeping an eye on your experience within Pisces this month, within Aries this month, as well as when we get into April and May for some of this post-shadow activity with the integration phase. We are going to be understanding a lot of where the Pisces and Aries parts of our lives are developing and what exactly it is we have been learning and what exactly it is that we actually need to do now. Okay? Because the haze will dissipate and we will be able to see clearly. And thank God for that. So anyway, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope this video was coherent for you. And yeah, guys, be sure to check out my Patreon as well for bonus videos, bonus commentary to videos such as this, and extended teaching videos that I do offer on Patreon. I'm brand new on Patreon, so bear with me as I grow that network there. But I'd love to have you over there. And yeah, once again, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and book a reading if you would like with me. I would love to meet you. Links down below for all of those things. All right, my friends, until next time.